Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Dear student, welcome once again. Our discussion is going about the approaches to study any discipline, particularly the public administration. There are different approaches and each approach has its advantage as well as disadvantage, and we will try our best to conclude this discussion today, and we will be entering into new regime after this lecture that is directly related to the Pakistan's public administration system. That is our core objective of this course. So if I would like to give you the summary of the previous lecture, we talked about one approach about studying the public administration, that was the behavioral approach. Behavioral approach is very simple and it gives a direct way to study any discipline, particularly the public administration. It is not like the normative science, it only a positive science. Positive means that it wants to study all the matters as they are. It never suggests any improvement, and it gives that what the administrator should do. It uses very strict methodology, sampling, correlations and whatsoever, and then try to figure out the analysis and to represent in the form of any numerics, so that the more concrete and solid view or the message should be conveyed, and every person becomes more aware of this. This approach becomes under fire when the people who are more, you can say, the ethicals, they say that if we exclude the moral values from the studying any discipline, it undermines the true validity of the values. It should not be in this way. There should be the role of moralities, and definitely there is the role of moralities and the ethics. Today we will go for the other approaches, and let me start now formally of your 7th lecture. It is the system approach. As the name suggests, it means now we are talking about something of the system. Let me clarify that everything can be studied only in the frame of reference of the system. If we just pick one of the things and bring it out of the system, its total meaning changes. For example, very interesting news you can see, interesting footage you can see on the TV screens when they bring the discussion or the abstract out of the discussion reference, and the meaning of totally change. So we will study this, that what is it says. If I go to its definition, this thinking is that process of understanding how things influence one another within a whole. There is a whole, you can say, the population, and there are the samples. Not this is the true representative, but you can say that there is a body whole, and these are the organs and parts of the body that they have to work together. If one of the organs goes under problem, all other have to pay its price. In nature system, very, very true example of the nature system. Look at the system, that how the things are related to each other. For example, air, water, movement, plants and animal work together to survive. The survival of all the organism is dependent upon each other. So there is a life cycle that is depending on one another. If you destroy any of the organs, or you disturb the system, the whole system becomes disturbed. Then you will have to bring changes to regain the balance. Otherwise, the situation becomes more nervous. In organization, we are starting from the journal, we are concerned about the organization because the public administrator works in the organization. System consists of people. Definitely, if any of the organization, there are the people, there is structure, rules and regulations, ethics, many other things, and process that work together to make an organization healthy or unhealthy. If the systems, the people are going coordinately, they are working in harmony with each other, the system becomes healthy. One of the fundamental reasons behind the collapse of the many of the institutions of Pakistan is one of the disharmony with that, and the two institutions are in front of each other when there is a problem, and there is a problem of conflict of interest. So this situation waste times, and in this the system becomes stuck, and there is no improvement as compared to the other situation. The story will continue over 6 slides of this system approach. This is the more comprehensive. That's why I have given much priority to this. System thinking views problem as part of an overall system rather than reacting to specific part outcomes or events. Again, I would like to repeat the same sentence, that the part of a system can only be studied within the framework of the system. If you exclude it from the system, its definition, its meaning is hard to understand, and there is the possibility that the total different meaning is conveyed to the others. System thinking is not one thing but a set of habits or practices within a framework. This is not only, you can say, only one thing, but it is a system of habit of the administrator. Now if I apply it to the administrator, you can see that it is not there only one habit. So this is not only one habit, it is a combination, or it is a consensus, or it is a pool of habits that is in the framework. It is based on the belief that the component parts of a system can best be understood in the context of relationship. Now repeating again and again, I have just given you the definitions. The conclusion of this slide is that the system with the parts within the systems are more easy to understand. In science systems, it is argued that the only way to fully understand why a problem or element occurs and persists is to understand the parts in relation to the whole. Again, the same thing, that if you go in the science system, only the understandable thing is that the part is studied under the certain circumstances. And what are those certain circumstances? Simply, that is the whole system. It consistent with the system philosophy. System thinking concerns an understanding of a system by examining the linkage and interaction between the elements that compose the entirety of the system. Two words are very important here. If you look at here, the linkages, the other is the interactions. All the parts are linked with the other parts. Now I am not talking about only the body parts, I am talking about the whole universe. All are relevant to each other. For example, a very good and interesting example is that now the environment is changing. It means now there is a disturbance in the nature, and it has a very negative, significant effect on the human health, human phenomena. You can see the cyclones there, the intensity of the weather in unexpected months, and this situation goes on. So the in system approach, it is more emphasized on the interrelationship, interjunctures and linkages between the parts, and the discussion goes on. Science system thinking, how to attempt to illustrate that events are separated by distance and time. Now these two things are important. The science focus is that although the part is full of systems, it is being constitutes on the combination of the parts, but it still assumes that there is that each event can be separated from the system on the basis of two things. The one is the distance and the other is the time. For example, distance means the geography. From here, if it is happening in Pakistan, if it is happening in India, then we can say this is the bifurcation of the system by parts. Within the country, if this is the Islamabad, you can say in the Rawalpindi. Within the organization, you can say this university department of Management Sciences, and the other is the Department of Chemical Engineering and whatsoever. The time is very significant factor. Every social sciences, every nature phenomena is time related. If you exclude the time, it becomes very difficult to understand any phenomena. So time, what means over time there is gradual improvement in the system, and whatsoever we can say up to that time the system was working in this way. After that time the situation has changed over time. And small events can cause large changes in complex system. This is the most fundamental of this approach, system approach, that we ignore many minor things and we think that these have no significant effect on the whole system. For example, if I say that if I do not work properly, what will be the effect on the system when there are 400 people working? No, my role is significant. If I avoid my role, it means there is a gap that needs to be fulfilled. Then there is, you can say, the vacuum, and if there is a vacuum, it will destabilize the system. So the small changes could bring significant, large, huge and enormous changes into the whole system. For example, people say that the drop and drop make the oceans. कतरा कतरा जो है वो दरिया जो है वो बन जाता है. The similar situation is with you. You and me. When I am talking about you, I am also including myself. We have to concentrate on this situation, that a very small change in the whole system can bring a significant change in the system. For example, I would like to say that if we try to improve our society, try to make our society more prosperous, we can if we start right now. The other is for this acknowledging the improvement in one area of a system can adversely affect another area of the system. This is also that if one system is increasing on the cost of other, most of the time it happens that all the systems go side by side, but they can acknowledge that if any part is being improved without the reference of the system, it may bring disappointment, discouragement into the other system. Very simple way, if you are giving more priority to any of the employees, it means you are just concentrating on one part, ignoring all other systems. And if now that person is getting good opportunities, but at the same time the others are being affected adversely. System thinking techniques may be used to study any kind of system. One of the property of this is that this approach can be used to study any kind of the system. Natural system, we are using this kind of studies many times. Environmentalist, scientific, you listen news on daily basis that there are many scientific studies that are being applied on the basis of this system approach. Engineers also used when they are going through any of the engineering phenomena, they also use these techniques. And human and conceptual, and we are more interested about the human because the public administration is directly related to human being. The public administration means the administration of the human resource management plus the material, that you can say the resources. System approach still on the scene. The several ways to think of and define a system include. Now, what is the system? This is very interesting. There are several ways to define that this is a system. What is this? A system is composed of parts. After giving you a detailed discussion, now very simply you will see 2 or 3 sentences here. What is the system? So the first is, a system is composed of parts. It is not necessarily that there should be so many parts. It could be only more than one part. It could be more than 100 parts, 1000 parts. So our only objective is that this is composed of parts. This means the organization may be small, the organization may be very large, and for this we have to consider. But look at this part, all the parts of a system must be related. This is the again critical things. You are working in your homes, you are making public administration in the offices, but keep in mind all the parts of the system should be interlinked. If any of the part is delinked, make sure that it is relinked, otherwise the system is going to collapse. For the time being or for shorter time, it can ignore the situation, but in the long run you will face very, very heinous consequences for this. Now, how this link could be? This link could be very directly, or it could be the indirectly. Some things are directly related to one another, the others are linked through some other via, and we call it that there is an interlink. Else there are really 2 or more distinct systems. If this is the situation, the system should be linked. Otherwise, there are really 2 or more distinct systems. If there is no coordination, for example, me and 2, now we are part of one system. But if such situation happens that there is no link between you and me, then we cannot call each other that we are a single entity. Now we have separated ourselves into 2 entities, that one is the students and the other is the teacher. A system is, this is again, I think now it is a very interesting, the system is encapsulated as a boundary. There should be the boundary of a system. Every organization, every administration should have its limits. If you will go beyond limits, it will be interference into some other organization, because there is an area, every area is the area of any of the organization. If you will go beyond your activities, beyond your jurisdiction, beyond your premises, definitely you will be interfering into some other organization. So the one thing is very clear about the system, that it should be encapsulated, it should be delimitation of this, it should not be the limitless. If it is limitless, then there is no, and you can see now in Pakistan, I don't know when you will be listening this lecture what will be the situation nowadays in Pakistan. Every institution is complaining that the others are working in the jurisdiction of the others. For example, particularly for the judiciary, they say that the judiciary is interfering into the working of the parliament. And up to my views, this is not the misperception, it is the true perceptions. There is judicial activism, and I think it is not beneficial for the country. The boundary of a system is a decision, how to decide the boundary. It is a decision made by an observer or a group of observers. It could be only one observer, one administrator, और इट कुड बी ग्रुप ऑफ एज आवर पार्लियामेंट. जैसे या सुनते हैं कि आइन ने इसका जो है वो तरीका वज़ा जो है वो कर दिया है. इट मीन्स द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन हैज़ डिलिमिटेड द jurisdictions of any of the organization or its parts, the Senate, the National Assembly, the Parliament, both houses, and many other organizations and jurisdictions, the A, B, C, and D. A system can be nested inside another system. One more thing, that if there are two systems, it is the possibility that one system is nested into another system. For example, if I go to my kidneys, it is in itself it is a system. but it is being embedded, it is being nested into my body, that is the whole system. So there are many organizations, when you see that there is inzamam of many of the organization, merger of many of the organization, so one system can survive within the other system if there is a link and both the system have the same objective, same similar motives and similar ambitions. I think it could be the still going on. Science systems thinkers, now I will be a bit faster to just overcome, because I do want to complete this discussion in this lecture, and after this we will be more concerned about the Pakistan. Science systems thinkers consider that this is about the founders of this approach. A system is dynamic. If you remember, I talked about the time. When there is time involved, the system becomes dynamic, because static system is difficult to study, and it doesn't give a very comprehensive picture. But when the system becomes dynamic, it is a very, very true reality of the phenomena, and complex whole. A system is dynamic and it is complex. It is not simple. Even a family system is a very, very complicated and interacting as a structured functional unit. And each unit they are interlinked and it is working. What are it could be the units are the energy, material and information flow among the different elements that compose the system. Now I am talking about the interlink between the system. You can see the energy flows, material flows and the information. The more powerful nowadays is the information. These all flows across the departments, across the different elements or different components of the system. A system is a community situated within an environment. What is the system? Simply, it is a community that is living in an environment. Systems are often composed of entities seeking equilibrium but can exhibit oscillating behavior. This is the more comprehensive definition of the system. Systems are composed of entities. We have learned about this. These are the parts seeking equilibrium. Each part is working for the equilibrium, means the optimal solution, but can exhibit oscillation behavior. There is the possibility, it doesn't mean that the system every time remains on the equilibrium. There are the oscillation, but there are the automatic forces that try to bring those disequilibrium into equilibrium. The system thinking approach incorporates several tenets. These are some of the tenets of this. What is this? Interdependence of objects and their attributes. This approach links and coordinates many of the objects and their attributes. They should be interlinked. Independent elements can never constitute a system. Even look at this, if a person that is not from your family, if he comes into your family and stays with you, the system is being disturbed. He is human being and definitely like you human being, but your whole family is getting uncomfortable from this. Why this is? Because that is not dependent on the system. He or she is from other system, and when the independent elements enter into the system, they can never constitute a system. System is only consist of the objects and the attributes that are interlinked, coordinated with each other. Otherwise, the independent objects can't constitute this. The other tenets of the system approach is that this is the goal seeking. System interaction must result some goal or final state. When you are talking about there is the object and the ultimate objective, that is the goal, it should be very clear. And the goal seeking, if there is no goal seeking, then there is no need of coordination between any parts of the whole, because when we say that they are interlinked, they are working together, it means we are making sure that they are going into the right direction and they are complementing each other to achieve the same objective. So this is the second tenet of the system approach. Inputs and outputs. It is very clear, very simple for this. Now inputs means that there is the law, rules and regulation. Output, when we apply and see what is the output, we come to know that what were its effect, whether we achieved our objective or we were well short of our objective. When we study this, we come to know the gap between the policy and the performance, and it is a very good, it is a feedback, and we try to fulfill this gap by making improvements over the next stage. In a closed systems, inputs are determined once and constant. If the system is not the dynamic, you want to see the performance of a person on a specific point of time, you are making a static analysis. And if the system is closed, then inputs are determined once and constant. You say, okay, these are your resources. You can administer 10%, these two vehicles you have, and this offices with you have run the system. This is in kinds of that now constant inputs have become constant, but if you allow him to that, over time you can change your number of persons, you can change your number of vehicles, and in this way you will progress. This will become dynamic. In an open system, additional inputs are admitted from the environment. What is the difference between the dynamic and the system? In statics, you have to work with the given resources. You are not allowed to incorporate or absorb other resources over time when you need it. It doesn't mean the closed system that you need not resources over time. Even you can't do this. But in the open system, or you can say the dynamic one, it is the possibility that over time when you feel any requirement for any of this resource, you are allowed to take this. Some of these tenets are going out. Transformation of inputs into outputs. What is the purpose of using inputs? We use inputs to get some output. If you are applying good inputs, most probability, if well administered, you are going to have good outputs. This is the process by which the goals are obtained. For example, if you are administrator, you want to reduce poverty in the country, then what you will be giving some inputs. You will be making some institution, you will be allocating some resources, you will be collecting data, you will be implementing some policies, and on the basis of these policies, you will come to know that you will try to achieve the objective. Entropy, the amount of disorder or randomness present in any system. No system is free from fault. There is randomness, there is disorder, and it is called entropy. Entropy means it is a measurement that tells us that how the system has been disturbed. If there is higher amount of entropy, it means higher inputs are required to bring the system on this equilibrium or to achieve the objective. But if fortunately, if the system is running with the minimum possible level of the entropy, then there are very, very small changes required to bring the system to the equilibrium. Hierarchy. Complex. What is the hierarchy? Complex wholes are made up of smaller subsystems. No doubt that if there is a whole system, it is a combination of further systems. For example, this is universe. There is a solar system. There are many other systems. There is ocean system. There is life cycle. Many systems. And within the each system, there are many components and parts and elements that work together. So when there is a whole system, It is a combination of the systems, and one system in itself is a combination of events, parts, and components. Differentiation: specialized inputs perform specialized functions. One size doesn't fit all. What this means: specialized units perform specialized function. If you would like to bring special changes, you can achieve the special objective. Equifinality: this is two terms used, equifinality and multifinality. What is equifinality? Alternative ways of attaining the same objective. This is called the convergence. For example, if you want to travel from here, Islamabad, to Lahore, many ways to travel. You can go on bike, you can go on the Divo bus service, you can use your own conveyance like car, you can go by the aeroplane. So what this is the equifinality, alternative ways of attaining the same objective. Objective is the same, you have to reach to Lahore, but there are many alternative ways, and these are the convergence, that this is the point. And all, if I want to show it by the diagram, this is the objective, this is, and many these are convergent towards this one. This is the convergence. And what is the divergence or multifinality? Attaining alternative objective. Very interesting. Attaining alternative objectives from the same inputs. You can use only same inputs, but you can find many of the objectives. Now starting from here, the same diagram, look at here, this is the inputs. You can spend it on cloth. For example, this is the money, this point is money. You can spend it on your food, you can spend it on your shoes, you can spend it on your entertainment, or you can go into the cinema. So these were the tenets of the system approach that has been studied, that has been used to study any discipline, particularly the public administration. You should be well aware of the convergence and the divergence concept. Convergence to achieve the objective through alternative objectives, alternative ways of attaining the same objective, and in multifinality, attaining the alternate objective from the same inputs. And it is good news that the system approach, that was the more important, that is over. Now we are going for the ecological approach. This is more related to the economics and the environment. But as I said, these are the general approaches that can be used at any time to study any phenomena. So the ecological model of competition is a reassessment of the nature of competition in the economy. So the ecological model of competition, it means there is a competition. Nature, resources are limited, and everyone is trying to get more and more resources. So the ecological model of competition is a reassessment. It means there was assessment, and it is a reassessment of the nature of competition in the economy. As I said, that it is more related about the economics and ecology. Competition exists in the market, so in ecological approach, we want to reassess this competition, that what are now the rules and regulation for this, what are the problems, how the competition is going, whether it is making improvement, whether the income is being distributed into equally distributed, or it is going into some specific holes, making the disturbance in the society. Now business, now if you remember, one of the definitions of the public administrations was that it should be done on the basis of like an organization as the business. So the business operate in a complex environment, very complex environment with interlinked sets of determinants. If you are making a business, from sitting like me outside the business, you can give very simple suggestions, very easy. You can say that your profit can increase in this and that way. But this is a very complex system. If you go any of the businessmen, any of the organization, you will come to know that how it is difficult to administrate it and implement the rules and regulations, because there are many resistance from the employees, from other departments, and ultimately the person becomes ineffective and he becomes helpless and hopeless over time. So the business operates in the complex environment. What this means, the public administration is a very complex phenomena. It is not simple, it is very complicated, as it is interlinked with many of the determinants. For example, if you are given the task, for example in Karachi, the rangers are now given the tasks to deal the terrorist with iron hand. We say that why we can easily say, we criticize the rangers, that ranger and police are not efficient there. But do you know that how the rangers and the police are being influenced by the political system? If you are a police officer, you go against the political will of the political interest of the people who have to get vote from there, they will not allow you to go into the areas. And the terrorists are very intelligent, and they immediately migrate to the safe havens where they think that the rangers and police will never come, because they know that this is this area is the area that is the hub of voters of the governing party. For example, in the PP and the MQM, definitely now PP is in the power in the province, and definitely if in any of the area police goes and takes action, definitely it will have some resistance. Companies co-evolve. Rather than companies, I can say the systems co-evolve. They are influenced by other factors. Not only one system influences the other, but it is being influenced by the other system also. So what this means, nothing is independent. Everything is being independent. For example, if any of the person becomes sick in your family, what is the result? He is being influenced by the other, and the others are influencing him. If you will make encouragement, give him proper treatment, there are more chances that he will recover quickly. And at the same time, if he is also taking care of the others, that he is not giving much tough time to other family members and working most of his work that he can do over with his own hands, then these are, you can say that they are influenced by one another. So any two system cannot be independent from each other. Changes in one system has effect on the other. So I am influenced by you, you are being influenced by me. What is the conclusion of this? Only one slide from ecological approach. Very large literature available on this, but as I am interested only the more relevant to the public administration, I have just concentrated myself only one slide. What is the conclusion? Public administration is embedded in other disciplines. What was the meaning of this? That the companies evolve, system evolves, business evolves, ecology consists in this way or that way. Simply that the public administration is nested in other discipline. It is not independent of it. It gets institutions. It gets intuitions from the economics, sociology, psychology, and all other disciplines. If we go to analyze it mathematically or numerically, it gets information from the mathematics, it gets information from the econometrics, it gets information from the statistics, and this situation keep on going. The fourth approach, the first was behavioral approach, the other was the structural approach, the third was, we have just completed, that was the ecological approach of studying public administration. Now there is the structural function approach. Structural functionalism is a framework for building theory that sees society as a complex system. It is again related to the system approach. it also sees that all the theories sees that society is a complex system. Again, if I would like to just make only one word, that this is the combination of the system, society is not independent of the other system. This approach looks at society through a macro level orientation, not one part. It sees that it is a macro level. The systems approach was concentrating on each and every part and assuming that it is the integral part of the body or the system. Here what we are saying, this approach looks at society through a macro level. What is the micro? Micro at the basic and the individual levels, and macro at the very, you can say, at the total level or totality, which is a broad focus on the social structure that shape society as a whole. So in the society there are disturbances. When we are being recognized, if there is small disturbance in many parts of the Pakistan, the ultimate is that we are being considered the Pakistani as a whole. It means there are many individual organizations, many individual or separated institutes, but according to structural function approach, there is totality and it takes the system as a whole. Functionalism addresses society as a whole in terms of the function of its constituent elements. ये society का किरदार जो है वो देखता है, and it on the basis of what are the basis that the systems are running within the society or within the, you can say, the moral values, the ethical values, the religion values, the cultural, social dynamics, whatsoever, these values are concentrated on here. If I go of two definitions, one is for the Herbert Spencer. It presents parts of society as organs that work towards the proper functioning of the body as a whole. Again, it has given the same example, that it has assumed that the structural function approach presents parts of society. They are studying the society as a whole. It is a part of the society. The whole is made of the parts. So parts of society as organs. So if these are the organs of the society, it means they are constituting the society, and their significance cannot be undermined over time. One is other definition, that is the Parsons, Talcott Parsons. Structural functionalism came to describe a particular stage in the methodological development of social sciences. Up to here, what is this? The Parsons structural function came to describe a particular stage. It means this approach describes a specific or a particular stage of the systems in social sciences rather than a specific school of thought. It is not a specific school of thought, but what this says, it says that it enters to describe a special stage of the development of the society. Not it is a general view about the society. It describes, for example, we can say that it describes how the society is being transferred from one era to another. The other definition is, this is, Durkheim believed that society constitutes a separate level of reality, distinct from both biological and inorganic matter. Now there is a conflict. Go to the previous slide. The first, Spencer said that these are the organs of the body and body works as a whole, and he was giving similarity of body to the society. Here you can see that believe that society constitutes separate level of reality. Every organ has a separate its significance, and it is distinct from both biological and inorganic matter. He said no, it is not the biological system as the part of our body, but and it is not like also the inorganic matter. It is the combination, it is the mixture of the system. What are the explanations? explanations of social phenomena had therefore to be constructed within this level. जो इन्होंने बताया कि इसके मुताबिक जो है फिर सिस्टम की जो है वो वैल्यूज को जो है वो इंक्लूड जो है वो करना पड़ेगा. Societies are seen as coherent, harmonized, bounded and fundamentally relational construct that function like organism. Rather than from going from organism to the organs to the body, now it is what this means. Societies are seen as coherent. Now more societies there. So these are coherent. These are working with each another. There is the interrelationship. They are bounded. They are bound to interact with each other, and fundamentally relation constructs that function like organism, and when they develop this system they becomes like biological body. From here what is I am going to explain. From there we traveled by giving the example that as the parts of the body work in the whole system, here we are saying that as the society work, it works like the organs as of the body. Now the second last approach is the public choice approach. This is the more important and directly related. The public choice theory is the use of modern economic tools to study problems that traditionally are in the province of political science. Public choice theory, very interesting theory. What is this public choice theory? Public choice theory simply says that the public authorities work in their own benefit. So it is the use of how it uses the modern economic tools. There are many modern economic tools that are the econometrics to study problems. Which problem? ये economics problem जो है वो study करें, that is not the big problem. It tries to study the problems that traditionally are in the province of the political science. So this approach, the public choice approach, tried to use the economic systems to study the political domain or the political science. It studies such agents and their interaction in the social system, either such or under alternative constitutional rules. It studies different components under different rules. If this is the rules, what it will be the role of the agents? If the role is changing, what will be the role of this? Here is the more definition, clear definition. Public choice analysis has roots in positive analysis. What is? But is often used for normative purposes. What ought to be to identify a problem. This is the major difference between the public choice approach and the first approach, that the behavioral. Behavior approach was only just concentrating on what is positivism, no argument in favor of what it should be. Here there is it means it is a combination of positive science and the normative science. So this is one of the major advantage of public choice theories over the previous over the behavioral approach. Here the thinkers are this theory does not only sees that why it is happening, how it is happening, but it after studying this it gives suggestion that it should be done in this way. For example, I would like to continue from the same example in which I said that you want to reduce the poverty. If I study your behavior, it is only a behavioral approach. But if I criticize and say this was the situation and this can be improved in this way, then we can make a better improvement for this. Public choice theory continues is intimately related to social choice theory. Public choice theory and the social choice theory, these are interlinked, which uses mathematical tools. Look at this. Public choice theory ने तो सिर्फ economic tool तक किया, is intimately related to social choice theory. It uses the mathematical tool to studying voters and voting and voters behavior. There are many Gallup surveys there were many Gallup surveys before the conduction of the election. You saw there was the predictions of that and that. This was not just being done in a very simple way, but it was being done on a very complicated ways by using the public choice theory with its interaction with the social choice theory. Since voter behavior influenced the behavior of public officials, public choice theory often uses results from social choice theories. It means the public choice theory is the part of the social choice theory. It gets guidance from the public social choice theories in explaining its phenomena that is related to the political behavior of the system. Public choice theory attempts to look at governments from the perspective of the bureaucrats and politicians. Now direct hitting to our public administration. Public choice theory always attempts to look at governments in the context of the bureaucrats and the politicians. The theory aims to apply economic analysis. Why every time economic analysis? Because there is cost involved. And every project, every administration rule has its cost and benefit. And these are the economists who have to go for this or that to find the cost-benefit analysis. To the political decision-making process in order to reveal certain systematic trends toward inefficient government policies. When there are inefficient, हम क्यों कहते हैं कि ये inefficient है? हम कहते हैं कि जी resources तो बहुत use हो गए, but the objective was not achieved as it should be. So there is the use of this. Public choice theory is often used to explain how political decision making results in outcomes that conflict with the preference of the general public. Again, same thing. Many advocacy groups are not the desire of the overall democracy. This is the behavior of public approach. However, it makes sense for politicians to support these projects. कई projects होते हैं, वो उनको नहीं चाहते लेकिन वो उनको support करते हैं. It may make them feel powerful and important because now there is a public choice theory. Their own interest is there. Logically, it is not. It should not be there. It can also benefit them financially by opening the door to future wealth as lobbyists. The conclusion of this slide is that the public choice theory is this: sometimes the Democrats go into the area where they do not want, but they go to just ensure their interest. This is the last approach, that is the contingency approach. Contingency approach is a bit different from the other approaches. Is a concept that there is no one universally applicable set of management principles by which to manage organizations. This is, it is more important, because what it says that we can't say that these are the rules and regulation and these will work for all the organization. It says that there is no universal set of disciplines or regulation that can work for all the organization. What this means? It means one organization is much different from the other. Organizations are individually different. It is recognizing the independency of each of the organization. It is giving importance to each organization. And what they say is organizations are individually different, face different situations, and require different ways of managing. They face different situations. Definitely one organization from time to time faces different problems. From geographical region to other geographical region, there is also difference for these situations. So contingency approach says that one size does not fit all. Contingency approach evolved during the 1960s. It was his time. Management theory and research began to adopt new orientation, now referred to as the contingency approach. उस वक्त से जो ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में जाना शुरू हो गया, दे ट्राई टू रिकॉग्नाइज दैट वन ऑर्गेनाइजेशन इज डिफरेंट फ्रॉम द ऑर्गेनाइजेशन. When I recognize that this system is different from the other system, we can say that now there are different rules and regulations required for this. For the management department, for the computer science department, for the physics department, these are different entities and they cannot be treated in a similar way. It emphasized the importance of situational influences on the administration, and the best administration is that administration that keeps in mind the situational influence. For example, if you are sent to handle the situation, if a police officer is sent to handle the situation that there is a mob on the road, if the situation immediately changes, he should use his mind. उसको ये इख्तियार दिया गया कि जी आपने जो है वो सिर्फ लाठीचार्ज करना है, बट द सिचुएशन बिकम्स सो क्रिटिकल दैट ही शुड हैव टू नाउ चेंज हिज philosophy of the methodology. Today the contingency approach dominates theory and research in administration literature. If you go to the public administration literature, you will find that this approach is, that is the time approach, you can say this, you can also refer it that this is the situational approach, and it is being, it is dominating all the other approaches for this, because the situation changes in a very short span of time. In the 50s and early 60s, shift of paradigm arose, claiming that the administration has to fit to the situation in which it finds itself. Jaisa देश वैसा बेस. When at Rome, do as the Romans do. Because when one system, if same organization is working here, you pick this organization, you take it to FATA, you will have to change some behavior, because now the situation has changed, and the contingency approach has the advantage that it incorporates many of the situational environment into the system, and that its results are more encouraging as compared to the other. As the situation vary, different structures turn out to be most effective. Definitely, if there is situational improvement, आपका situation के साथ आपको allow है कि आप क्या करते हैं, then this is the best approach. In other words, the optimal administration structure is contingent, dependent on certain contextual factor. From one context, administration is different. In the other context, the administration is different. For example, if there is a mob of male people, male persons, there should be a different strategy to handle this. If there are all the females, then definitely there will be different strategy looking upon the contingency. According to this model, the formal structure of an organization defines the roles of its members in a specific way. वो उसका स्पेसिफिक एनवायरनमेंट के लिहाज से आप उसको जो है वो स्पेसिफाई रूल्स करेंगे, एंड thereby directs their behavior to a certain degree. For example, if there is strong competition, then decision about new have to be changed frequently. You made the rules and regulation, but when you went into the market, you came to know that there is much more competition. You will have to revise rules and regulation, otherwise the survival will become difficult. Rather than going, this is the summary of the lecture for today. We started from the different approaches, and it is good news for you. I know that this was cumbersome, tedious, a bit boring, and not directly related to the your public administration course, but it was a foundation, the background, the cornerstone to understand how the public administration evolved as a discipline over time, how many there are approaches that help us to study the public administration in this way. We studied in the previous lecture, that was the behavioral approach, only the positive approach. The other was the system approach, that was the more critical. It brings many of the it considers a system as a whole, and all the organs of the systems work together. It is the supposition of this approach. If there is no coordination, interlinkage between the components of any of the system, according to this approach, it says that these are two different system rather than the one system. After this, the systematic approach, there was the structural function approach. This was from in the system approach, we started from A to Z, and in that system, in the structural function approach, we traveled from Z to A, that we see the society as a whole, and we see the functioning of the society, and ultimately we result that it is exactly working like the human body, and it is a biological approach. After this, we study the ecological approach. This was more important about related to what is the economics. Economics has now become the core and core of each discipline, and it is also called the mother of the social sciences. So it includes in the ecological system, because when there is any of the strategy, there is a cost-benefit analysis of this. After this, the more important the approach was the public choice approach. Public choice approach sees that the public administrator always make sure of their own interest. On the outer side, they show that they are working for the well-being of the society. They do work for the well-being of the society, but they never risk their own interest. For example, there are many projects can be mentioned for as example, that the people and the politician or the public administrator were not interested to launch, but these were not the economical feasible, but the public administrators have their own interest into the system, so they launched it, and this was the situation. After this, the most important approach was the contingency approach. This is called also the situational approach. Situational approach means that it allows a public administrator to work according to the situation. For example, if you are giving a set of rules and regulation to go to the area and apply these one, if you go to the area, you see that that situation is much different your supposition, you will have to change your strategy, you will have to change your public administration. This is very, very important approach, and it has now dominated all other approaches. Its heydays were the 50s and the 60s, and now it is being implemented in many of the situations, and I can make sure, I assure you that if you are not a situational public administrator, you are not going to for this or that. For example, if you are going on your bike, you are supposed to reach your destination in 1 hour. But unfortunately, if there is any minor accident or there is a puncture of the bike, it means now there is a situational approach. You will have to open your new window and you will have to see the alternative for this available. If you will just stick towards the previous one, you will not be in a position to solve the problem in a proper way. So I would like to conclude these approaches here. From the next lecture, we will start new discussion about the system that exists in Pakistan, the local system and whatsoever. Till that lecture, take care, goodbye and Allah Hafiz.